Hi, friends. Welcome to the Shits and Gigs podcast, where we keep the vibe high, the humor gets raunchy, and things get spicy when we talk about food. We're here tonight with a very special guest, Danielle Holleran. You might also know her as the Queen of Details and Swirls. You started on Instagram for most of your marketing, right?
Hmm.
So huge following. You're super successful, local artist also here in Rhode Island. You have over 113, or you have 113,000 followers on Instagram. Your podcast has over 95,000 downloads. So you should be so proud. You are super talented and definitely thriving. She's sitting in the works of her little downstairs humble abode for her business. That's been a long time coming. She specializes in hand lettering pieces or hand lettered pieces. She hand paints everything or hand writes everything. It's very impressive. Floral art, and then also she has the cutest seasonal decor that drops with each season. So definitely check her out at Details and Swirls on Instagram. And you've been an entrepreneur for 7 years now and a mama for two, right? He just turned two.
Yes. Yep. He just turned 2. It's been a wild, wild ride.
It's so crazy. Yeah, my son just turned a year and a half. So they're like a couple months
Mhm.
apart. But I remember in that first year we would swipe up and down on each other because he was
Mhm.
also not a solid napper for a while, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Our son crushed the naps, but the nights were rough.
Oh, it's one or the other. And
Yeah.
people would always say, like, oh, well, at least he's sleeping through the night. And I'd be like, yeah, but I can't work in the middle of
Right.
the night. I gotta work
Yes.
during the day. But
Yes,
also,
as a
you know,
mompreneur, that causes some issues and
yeah.
things that you like some hard moments to really pivot and prioritize like your business over spending that time, like that quality
Mhm.
time. Or yeah, the first year was very rough for me with finding that like work-life balance. It was
Mhm.
just like nearly impossible and it was rough. And I just wanted to mention too, I saw you started using Patreon so what are you doing on that now?
So on Patreon, I have a couple of different tiers, kind of like an extension of the podcast a little bit. I love doing mentorship. I've done that for a few years, and I kind of wanted to just include a couple of different areas. So uh, the top tier is mentorship, includes mentorship calls, everything that goes along with that. And then the middle tier is called Swirl Squad. And every single week I release an educational like video tutorial on all things business related. So from
So
hand
cool.
lettering to painting to Instagram reels to like anything under the sun, just like a new fun learning video every
Yeah.
single week. And then the last tier is a bonus episode, free wallpaper, etc. Like just
So
some fun little
cool.
goodies. So lots of just fun, kind of educational stuff over there. And it's just really nice to connect with other small business owners, other
Yeah,
entrepreneurs. It's like one of my favorite parts of this whole business. So I love
right.
that little
Same.
outlet.
Yeah, I love it. And how have you been liking it so far? Because I also use Patreon for my recipe subscription, and
Mhm.
I think it's super easy to use, very user friendly. I do find it's a little more user friendly on like your browser versus the app
Yes.
sometimes. So that was like one area of improvement, and I
Mhm.
know they have a bunch of exciting things coming out soon for creators, like discount codes and that type of
Mhm.
thing. That would be really cool and exciting to
Yeah.
build momentum through seasons and stuff.
Yeah, I really like it from like creator perspective. I'm not a patron of many other Patreons of some. So I like
Yeah.
it from a patron perspective of me, but also from the creator perspective on my Patreon. I think it's really user friendly and just super easy to upload like any type of content I can upload
Yeah.
like posts as if I want to like, share an update or type something out, can upload and share photos, videos, audio, like the multimedia is really just super easy, like drag
So
and drop.
easy.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. And what was the other thing I was just gonna mention? Oh, I also love I forget if it was in one of my podcasts with another guest or if I just saw it online somewhere. But they said one of the biggest deterrents sometimes is having like a separate checkout. And it's nice
Mhm.
because Patreon is all in one place. So they get the subscription and they're just like automatically locked in. They don't have to like bounce to another window or whatever to process. So I feel like that's huge for both the client and the creator when it comes to like retention and just like keeping things exciting and fluid.
Yeah, no, I definitely love it. And I feel like it's just been a like steady little area that's been nice.
Yeah,
Um,
because
and
you
just
showed
have,
up in a couple different avenues of income, which is so smart as an
Mhm.
entrepreneur because you can't put all your ducks
Hi.
in one pond or whatever the saying is. I don't know.
Oh, try our best. It's hard though, like
Yes.
especially with um being a mom, like
Hmm.
that was my main goal before becoming a mom. Like when I took my business full time, I really wanted to diversify and make sure that, I wasn't just all in one niche and area because even just in the experience that I have, like the industry's changed so much and my business has
Right.
changed so much just due to trends and whatever. So I've experimented in lots of different areas, but since becoming a mom, like I don't have the time to be in this area and that area and do this, that, and the other thing. So I've had to like really focus and narrow down, like, all right, what areas is it worth putting my time into? And
Yes.
I've had to cut out a bunch of areas that just weren't working. And down the line, when I have more time, I can pursue
Right.
different avenues again. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was definitely a hard kind of decision to make on where to pull back and like all
Right.
that.
Yeah, let's actually use this moment to transition into like surviving that first year because I feel like that's where you, as a mompreneur, you really have to like take a step back, set those boundaries, figure out what's worth pouring your energy into for
Mhm.
that minimal time that you have available to like really pour in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that first year, I feel like you're really prioritizing your time, you're prioritizing your self-care also. Like I feel like that was huge for me once I really realized, even though I don't have a lot of time, the more time I pour into myself, the more I'm able to show
Mhm.
up in all areas, life and business.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I didn't really realize until kind of like this second year, I would
Mhm.
say, like even half year. It took me like a year and a half to really kind of get my footing
Mm,
in the balance of it all. And I mean, it's still not perfect, but I definitely have a better handle on things now than I did back 2 years ago
yeah, I feel you,
because
girl. I'm like just
it's
starting to find
just
my flow.
it's so difficult
Yeah.
because I, you know, feel so naive to the fact that I prepped so hard for maternity leave, like set everything up. And I thought, okay, this date, October 1st, I'm coming back to work and kind of like expecting things to go as they did. And, in my head, I was like, oh, I'll have X, Y, and Z help available to me. And like, for whatever case or not, like it just wasn't the case. And I also didn't want to jump back into working like full time, even if I did
Yeah.
have like those resources available, like I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
So like that pull while also trying to maintain a business that previously I would run like 40, 50 hours a week
Right. Yeah,
was
'cause you were
like,
already pretty established when you had your baby.
yeah, it was really difficult. So I
Yeah.
tried like for a full year to maintain that level of business and push myself while also taking care of my son full time at home. And I just like completely wrecked myself. My mental health was like at a
Oh my
literal
gosh,
time
no.
low, coming off of like postpartum and everything. Like it just kept going down, 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 down. And
Yeah.
I thought I had no choice because I was like, well, I don't want to give up on my business. I don't want to give up on being home with my baby. So I'm just gonna try to do it both until I reached a breaking point kind of at the end of 2023, actually like last summer. I was like, something's got to change. Something has got to
Mhm.
change. So
Yeah.
I started, pulling back in some areas. Then the beginning of this year, started getting a little bit more help and kind of realizing, kind of like I had just mentioned before, like, all right, this area of my business I'm working hard on and I don't need to be right now.
Hmm.
I'm not really seeing the reward. Like, we're cutting that out. This area of my business, maybe I'm toning things down a little bit, just doing a mental check of like,
Yes.
love my business, love my passion, but right now, like, do I need to be doing all of these crazy things and reaching for these goals? Like, why? If I
Right.
bring it down a notch,
Yes.
like, and that gives me the flexibility to take a breath, to not have to work every morning, to not have to work every night, like to be able to spend time with my son and not stress the whole time that I'm not working, like just because I'm not doing like crazy things with my business and meeting these goals that like I once did, like it's
Right.
okay for the time being. Everything's
Yes.
temporary and like I'm very happy in the season of life that I'm in right now. And my business isn't doing insanely well like it was before I went on leave, but like that's a personal choice that I made and I'm a billion times happier
Mm,
now. Like it's
it's
not
worth
even a
it. Yeah.
comparison, but it was a hard adjustment. Like
Right.
you think of just the adjustment into motherhood as like one adjustment, but then you think about as an entrepreneur, like not only does your life change when you become a mom, like in the best way, but now your whole entire business and livelihood also has to adapt and change, which
Yeah.
I think I was just so naive to. I was like, oh, I'll be like
Same.
anyone else and I'll
Yes.
take a leave and then I'll go back to work. Like,
Right. And you're like, I'm
and it
working from
doesn't work
home.
that
It'll be
way.
so easy. And I can, like,
Yeah.
he's gonna nap and I'm gonna get so much
Mhm.
work done. And then he doesn't nap, and you're like, what am I gonna do? And one
Literally.
of the things you said too, that I had jotted down too, is like in that first year, I think one of the biggest takeaways for me was like advocating for help. Because as an entrepreneur and like being that like business owner perspective, like you're just so apt to just do it all
Hmm.
and just like take care of it. But I think asking for help was like a huge thing for me. And I had a very similar kind of like rough transition in the sense that like I was pre-planned, like I felt so amazing in my pregnancy. And then like I just felt so prepared. And then motherhood hits and it's just like not anything that you could prepare for.
Mhm.
And you just have all these expectations and plans that you put in place for your business or whatever your transition is postpartum. And you just never know what's going to happen. And like you said, like not only does your life pivot, but your business has to pivot too. And it's just so hard to figure out and fine tune like what trajectory your path you need to take until like you're really in it. And like you said, you hit that breaking point where like something has to change. Like I am unwell and this is
Mhm.
not worth what it is right now. And you really have to just take a gander at like what's making or what's aligned with like your efforts essentially.
Yeah.
And I think that a big part of that too is like being honest with yourself. And through that process, like you kind of have to really be honest. And like, even if maybe, for example, I don't know, maybe the paintings, like the fun, like little paintings that you've been doing 6 months ago, like was not a necessity, but like now you have a little more flexibility potentially. Cause I think I remember I saw that you asked for some more help.
Hmm.
And so like you have a little more help with the babes and like now you can like pour into that bucket. But like you said, it's not no forever, or, like can't do it forever. It's just like what needs to be done right now to allow myself to feel like I'm showing up in a strong and powerful way, but also I'm like reaping the reward of like that time that I'm putting in because it really comes down to that. Like you're as an entrepreneur, it's nice because you have the time flexibility and everything. But if like you're not putting the work in behind the scenes, like it's gonna fizzle out eventually. So you
Hmm.
always have to be open to that new and like building that new, and just staying really intentional, I guess, with like your action in general. Um,
Like,
yeah. Yeah. And then you're also
crazy.
just trying to be present in like
Hmm.
that newborn phase because that goes by so fast. So yeah,
I
year one
know.
is was rough.
I feel like one of the things that I also struggled with so much, kind of going back to what you just said with the intentionality, is that given like the such short amount of time that I did have, whenever I would be working on something and it wouldn't perform well, or I don't know, like whether it be a post for social media or a launch that I was working on and it didn't do well. And it's like, all right, well, that is so much valuable time that I now feel like I just wasted and could have either been spending with my son or I just wasted
Yes.
and could have been working on something completely different in my business
Mhm.
that could have, pushed my business forward. Like this time is so valuable and I would get so stressed thinking like
Yes.
every single minute has to like count so much because I have such little valuable time and it puts so
Yes.
much pressure on that time that we do have to like make it productive and make it the best that it can be and like that's just such a hard you know life every single
Yes.
day to
Yeah.
like live up to and maintain. It's just like so totally non-realistic.
Hmm.
So trying to like take a step back, like, it's all right. We just have to literally do the best that we can with the
Yes.
time that we have right now. And like it's
Yep.
temporary. It's not like this forever. It's temporary.
Yes. Yes. That's what I keep telling myself.
And it is.
Yeah, you're just gonna work on finding that flow. Time management is huge.
Mhm,
I'm big on like pen and paper planner. That's like a huge
mhm,
visual for me, but there's a lot of virtual options as well. Armana, or I think it's called, is a really great like task app.
mhm.
And that oh no, it's Asana, Asana. It's really good for like
Heard of that.
different, like it's like a task list app.
Mhm.
I tried it and it was very easy to use, but I was just like pen and paper is for me. Um, Boundary setting with finding your flow is huge.
Mhm.
I've been doing my best, like, because I do definitely still utilize the nap for like work
Oh
hustle
yeah.
time. And then now that he's sleeping through the night finally, I wake up a couple hours early just to like get some more productive time in the
Mhm.
morning done too. But then I've been doing or trying my best to get off my phone and trying to eliminate like that urge to like respond while he's awake because that's hard too. Like being an entrepreneur, a lot of people don't understand, or like even sometimes spouses like really struggle with like, oh, you're always on your phone or your devices and stuff. And for me, it comes down to like I'm not getting that guaranteed check at the end of the week. So every notification is like an opportunity for me. And like that's like you just like chase that opportunity and you do have to though reel it in and like set that boundary because what's the point of responding to that little message that may or may not be an opportunity and then like you miss like I don't know your son like saying something for the first time or something like that, you know what I mean?
I know. It's so hard. It's so
Yeah.
hard because hindsight's always 2020. And I've had similar experiences too, where I'm like, have someone reach out last minute and I don't really have the time to take on the project, but I'm like, you know what? Like, I can't say no. Like, whatever. Like, I'm gonna jump on this opportunity. And then there's red flags and things go south and I'm busting my butt. And it's just
Yes.
like, oh my gosh, I should have never even, like, I didn't have the bandwidth. I should have never even,
Yes.
said yes when
Yep,
it
you
didn't
kick
feel
yourself
right.
about it, yeah.
But it's so hard to kind of like find that balance and make that discernment, especially if we're pulling back a little bit too and trying to, take every opportunity as it comes. Cause like you said, it's hard when you don't have that established, like, oh, well, I'm just getting a paycheck regardless. Like,
Right.
no, you're only getting a paycheck based on how hard you're working. So
Exactly,
it's
yeah.
hard.
Grind never stops, unfortunately.
Mhm.
But there is definitely finding that flow and that balance. And one other thing I had down was setting realistic goals and expectations. I think that was big, especially with the transition to motherhood, is like recognizing like what's realistic
Mhm.
in this new life stage because waking up early to have those couple hours during that first year for me was not prioritized because I needed to sleep because he was up 3 times throughout the night or whatever. So I just accepted like, okay, like that self-care item is like not on the table for right now. Like what else can I do to like fulfill that need? And like, so I think it just turned into like me washing my face every morning and like putting a little makeup on just to feel like I'm fresh for the day.
Yeah,
And so that was like, if I heard him get up, I would like take the 5 minutes to do that. And like, that was my thing. But like, I needed to prioritize sleep at that time. And now it looks different because like he's sleeping. Um, and so after year one and everything, and you establish that flow and like your new routine, let's chat about like how you've been able to keep the momentum with this new phase of like year two and like kind of the routine that you've established. What are some things that you found have been really effective for maintaining momentum while trying to like really fine tune that time spent?
for sure. So one thing I think like the biggest blessing in disguise for me was at the beginning of this year when my son was probably like a year and a half-ish. He went down to one nap and I was like, oh my gosh, my work life is officially over
Yep,
because
I had the same thoughts.
the two naps were like we were down to a routine. I had two
Mhm.
working blocks throughout my day that I got my stuff done, would get, the rest done in the morning and the night. And like for a while there, after, that first like 9-month blur craziness,
Yes.
we had it as down as, we could. And then he
Yep.
went down to one nap and I literally had a mental breakdown. I was like, I was hanging on by a thread. And
Yes.
I finally, thought I found my footing and I just lost half of my work week. Like, what am I
Yep.
doing? So at that point, I like needed to ask for help. It wasn't like, oh, I don't really want to. Like, I didn't ask for help the first year and a half while
Yeah.
trying to run my business, but at that point, I absolutely needed to. So
Mhm.
I asked for help, and I now have help with him 2 days a week, which started
Nice.
the beginning of this year. So it's been like a little over 6 months.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, that has just been like the biggest change in the entire world for
So
a
cool.
number of reasons. Obviously, just having the help and having the hours that I, get to work is huge. I
Yeah.
had hours before. I was working more when I didn't have help, when he was, doing the 2 naps. I definitely
Yep.
put in more hours every single day, but now it's predictable. Like I
Yeah.
know, hey, every single Monday and Wednesday, I know for a fact I have this block of hours to work,
Mhm.
and I'm not flying by the seat of my pants every single day playing
Yes.
up and thinking, all right, I didn't get this done today, so I have to get this done tomorrow. And all right, maybe hopefully he naps and then hopefully he doesn't wake. Like it was exhausting. Whereas now
Yes.
I'm like, all right, if I don't get it done on Monday, I know it's going to get done on Wednesday because I know
Yep.
I have a full day of work. So just having that to fall back on has just helped me be able to plan out my work better,
Mhm.
to plan out my weeks better. I can predict when I can get stuff done. Like you were saying, I can set realistic goals because I know exactly how many hours I have each week. And it
Right.
may not
That's
be a
so
ton,
nice. I'm so happy
but
for you. That's amazing.
it's like been such a game changer. And I still work during his naps on the other days, but
Right.
it's not that intense pressure of like, oh my gosh, this is my like work day, like right now. And if he wakes
Yes.
up, like I'm screwed for the day. Like it's just kind of bonus at that point
Right.
because we don't really, you know, plan out, oh, I have to do this on like a nap day. If I really have to get something done for the week, I plan those for my Monday and Wednesdays.
Yeah. Right.
So it has just like made all the difference in
Yes.
the world. And I wish so badly I had just been more, realistic with myself and been more forceful and been like, no, I am not okay. I need help, like a schedule, we need to do
Right. Yeah.
whatever the case may be. But like you said, you get to your breaking point, and going down to one nap was my breaking point. And honestly, it was the biggest blessing. So
Yes. Oh, I'm so happy for you. I was also at a breaking point with the one nap thing, and then he ended up starting to consistently nap for more than an hour. And that was like a big thing. But again, it's just like the unpredictability of it. And just not knowing like what's going to get done. It's like a mental load that just like adds to the whole
yeah.
complexity of motherhood and being an entrepreneur and like trying your best and just like some days like you are just trying your best and it still doesn't get done and you can do your best to just like accept it, but sometimes like if you had a hard deadline, like that doesn't feel good if you don't make it. So
Exactly.
it's tough. So kudos to you for asking for more help. And I'm so glad. Is Cheryl and Earl taking care of him one of those days?
No, they don't. They actually watch my cousin's twins and then my other cousin's son full time, who actually
Gotcha.
just lived down the street from me.
Oh, no
So I
way.
do see them because, we go to the same park and
Yeah,
we're so close. You see them all the time, but they're on full grandparent duty with
I love
them.
it. Yeah, that's so fun. I haven't talked to her in a hot second, but she had texted me a couple times after we had Cam. She's so sweet. Or they're both
Yeah,
very sweet.
they're the best. They're the
I love
best.
it. Do you have one of the doodles? Or
Yes.
yeah, you do.
Yeah,
Nice.
so my aunt has Jace, who and then my
Yeah.
mom has a litter mate of Jace's. She has
Oh,
Remy, and then we from the same breeder have a doodle. My brother and sister-in-law from the same breeder have a doodle. Justin, my cousin,
yeah.
Cheryl and Earl's son, they have two
Oh my
from the same
gosh.
breeder. So we just got
It's in the family.
all the doodles in the family. It's
That's awesome.
crazy.
So fun. And let's wrap this thing up with, I have found, I don't know about yourself also, I feel like you really are embracing this, especially with your fun little outfit things that you're doing, that I've noticed. Authenticity is one of the biggest things for kind of keeping the momentum, I've noticed. I think why be anyone other than yourself? Because like, who wants to do that? And I just feel like when you're coming from an authentic space, you just vibrate differently, and it's just that much more attractive to the audience that you're attracting.
1,000%. I have always believed on social media, like you have to just be yourself. And it doesn't mean you have to, like, I'm not an outgoing person at all. Like, I am an introvert. I am just don't have that type of personality. It doesn't mean you
Mhm.
need to be like in people's faces all the time and, do anything that you're uncomfortable with. But it just means, like you said, showing up authentically and just being true to yourself and, sharing about your business and sharing about things that are going on. But also, I always think it's fun to share about things outside of the business too. And I know not everyone feels comfortable with that. And it doesn't need to be like this blogger influencer thing, but
Right.
I always enjoy, other businesses that I follow just sharing snippets of themselves. It doesn't need to
Mhm.
be anything more than that, like just little things that you love or, anything that kind of makes you uniquely yourself. And I've had a lot of fun, again, even in the past couple of years since becoming a mom, like I like to share just things outside of my business too, because like we were saying again, like just diversifying and
Right.
you never know what direction your business is gonna lead in. But the one thing that's always gonna be true is yourself. So I just love
Right.
to share, obviously, predominantly my business, but I'm like, you know what? I love outfits. So I'm gonna sprinkle
Yeah.
in some outfit things and
So fun.
sprinkle in, some day in the life things of taking care of a toddler now. Like
Yeah.
and just share a little bit more of my personality and what makes me me. And then I know that so many other people who maybe don't run a business or don't always connect with the stuff I'm selling, maybe connect with that part of me because
Right.
they
Yeah.
also love outfits
Good
or
way
they
to
also
put
have
it.
a toddler or, just
Mhm.
little things like that.
So fun. Yeah, 100%. Couldn't have said it better myself. Authenticity is definitely an anchor in anyone's business. And also just with authenticity, making or kind of just doing like those self checks, kind of like we mentioned, and just being aware of when making pivots is necessary. Like
Hmm.
that kind of just awareness of self and like the way your business is being perceived and that kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, thank you so much for taking the
Of
time
course.
again. And yeah, you're crushing it. Keep doing it. I'm so excited to see how your basement turns out. It's gonna be
Thank
beautiful.
you.
Home stretch, you're so
Oh,
close to
I
being
know.
there.
Thank
And
you. So
keep
nice.
creating and just doing your thing. You're moving mountains, girlfriend. You're
Thank
crushing it.
you. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so
I
much.
appreciate
Have a
it.
great night.
Thank you.